office. I think Mr. Sarasoli did his best to get that office up and running against some real opposition. And there's been some political football there, but I think it's all going to be straightened out now. And the office will look for waste and fraud in city government, so it will be a revenue builder for us. And I think that since it is got all kinds of safeguards built into it, the people will learn to trust it. And when we have more trust in government, we have a happier populace and a more satisfied populace.
Mr. Roberts.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. This evening's news reported on the Inspector General's office. How do you see the City Council and the Inspector General operating in the next 4 years?
Well, the Inspector General is kind of like a cop. He's trying to ferret out problems in administration. So I don't see really that they have that much to do with each other. I mean, if there were transparency, you really wouldn't need an Inspector General. To the extent there isn't, you do. You remember when the Inspector General's office was created, there was a big fight because basically it was new turf. The administration did not want it. Typically, as all administrations, they didn't want the transparency that would have alleviated the need for it. So obviously, I think the council is going to be well served by a competent Inspector General, but I think that this, again, is a symptom. We really need to deal with the fundamental problem, which is administration that is just doesn't have its hand on the rudder, that just doesn't really know what it's doing. And I think that a strong council that agrees on what needs to happen can straighten out a lot of the problems that require an Inspector General. Ideally you wouldn't need one, but that's not, we're not in the ideal quite yet.
Mr. Batt?
Even if we have all the openness and transparency possible, I'm glad we have an Inspector General no matter what. We need to keep it regardless and keep it autonomous to review everything the council does, everything that the mayor does, and quite frankly, look at the departments for waste and fraud. Jackie Clarkson and I tried to get that put up for a vote several times. We now figured out, we chuckle about it, on why we weren't able to get it. Well, because we have 2 convicted felons on our council. We were getting blocked at every turn. It is something we cannot afford not to use. It is the benchmark that people are going to look for when they're locating their business here to see how clean is city government. We lost 20 people last time we had thunder. I hope we don't lose another 20. But we need to use that tool and use the Office of the Inspector General because it can help us with economic development as well.
I think we're just losing 2.
Good night, horses.
All right, next question. Let's set you up. Everyone, pretty easy. What distinguishes you from the other candidates and makes you the most qualified? Ms. Guidry.
I'm a practicing attorney for the past 23 years. The City Council is our city's lawmaking body, so I will be able to hit the ground running. I know the law. I understand the effects of the law. I have a history of proven leadership over the last 4 years, both as president of my neighborhood association and through my involvement in multi-neighborhood recovery efforts. I have successfully represented the Port of New Orleans in its Katrina claims against its insurance companies over the years 2006 to 2008 while I was involved in the recovery efforts as a volunteer. I believe that my profession and my experience and my temperament make me best qualified for the job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Robertson.
I believe the race is about leadership. I believe I can deliver that leadership to the people of District A and to the city. I had to wrestle with my web designer about saying that I was a councilman at large from District A. That's really going to confuse people. You're running in District A, you're not a councilman at large. But in fact, I would believe that the councilman from District A must lead the whole city because District A is really the leader of the city. I believe I understand the problems just the way that Mr. Cannizzaro did. He understood that the district attorney can't coordinate the police, the court system, the social agency. So I think that a city councilman can actually coordinate and move the state and the federal government. In other words, there's no movement now. You're dead center. And I understand the problem. Now, how to go about doing it is going to obviously take consensus and politicking. We need to get along with our colleagues on the council. We need to make it clear to the administration that we want the city run in a business-like way. I think these things are easy as long as you don't get angry and you are willing to smooth ruffled feathers and give people the benefit of the doubt. So I think I can do that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Batt, what distinguishes you from the other candidates and makes you the best qualified?
Well, one of the benefits of having won the race before and then having been defeated and then been in the volunteer sector and working with the recovery prepares me for the job at hand, which, you know, I'm not an ideologue, for those of you that know me. I'm more of blocking and tackling. And the things that need to get done for our community is blocking and tackling. It's blight, crime, and streets, or whatever word you want to put it in. It is a monumental task. I've already gotten 7 volunteers because the budget for a council member is very minimal, and I have been seeking volunteers to help move capital projects and other things along, ranging from a Martin Landrew out on Lakeview to a Paul Sturco in uptown New Orleans to a CFO at one of the larger companies here to scrub the budget prior to us getting it, because the time frame in which the council gets it, it's obscene to have 30 days to review that.
Thank you, Mr. Batt. Ms. Blanque?
I am best suited for the job as a council member because I am a consensus builder. I work well with the community. I have shown this through proven leadership in the past. I have had experience at City Hall. I understand finance and budgeting thoroughly. I believe bringing those mechanisms to the table in my skill set are the most important when you are at the first level of representation for the people of the district. To be able to engage, listen, and help formulate new ideas moving forward, moving projects forward from the past, the present, the wishes, and the dreams, and keeping an ear to the ground of the needs make me the strongest candidate. Thank you.
All right, we're going to make this our final question. The city charter was changed in December to mandate a new mechanism for neighborhood participation. A significant amount of work has been done to structure a citizen participation plan. What do you know about this, and will you make this a priority in your service as council person, Mr. Robertson?
I believe that the citizens need to have input, but I think the existing structure, you know, there's a councilman, you know, you have complaints about the councilman, and you need to get better councilmen. We do have this opportunity now for this to happen. You know, we're looking for leaders. You know, we are sheep needing a shepherd, and who's going to lead us? Well, if they don't have a vision, then you're stuck. I'm a little bit skeptical about the master plan because it has not incorporated suggestions. You know, there's a leadership in the community that said, well, yeah, let's do this. I mean, there were dozens of people that were not listened to, and I think that's because the out-of-town consultants had a vision for New Orleans, and that was it. That's the beginning and end of the process. So I intend to have a very open administration in which input is solicited and listened to. So I agree with what Ms. Blanque said. You have to listen to people, but you also have to develop a plan, and you have to be able to implement it. And these are diplomatic skills that require working with the council and administration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Batt.
Listening is the key, and incorporating the neighborhoods. I have, as reflecting and getting 40 and a half years older and turning 49, I realize how important it is. However, you need to have a master plan and a CZO. So the Carrollton Riverbend neighborhood knows that a restaurant can go over here and maybe a car wash can go over here, and they can't flip-flop. And I think that would give a lot of the neighborhood organizations peace of mind that you can't do what's not in the plan. And you know it up front, and you know what the game is, and you know the rules, and there's no appeals process. And the City Planning Commission will, once a year, go ahead and make recommendations and tweak the CZO and the master plan, because the first draft, as we've seen by folks from Boston, isn't perfect. I was on the Planning and Technical Advisory Committee board. It's not perfect, but we need a mechanism like that to protect our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Ms. Blanque?
I actually have a problem with the master plan when it comes to Chapter 15 and neighborhood inclusion. It chooses only one person from the neighborhood, and that may be a very stacked card. There are a lot of people in the neighborhood organization that feel underrepresented or not a member of the organization, so they